Hello, our group has been presented with the task of representing nucleic acids for you. So an important thing to know before we start is what is an actual nucleic acid? Well, a nucleic acid is a complex organic substance, such as DNA and RNA, that the main characteristic is that they're all made up of nucleotides. The nucleotides are the monomers, which make up the polymer, the nucleic acid. The main structure of the nucleotides is that there's a 5-carbon base, like sugar base, as the center, and what branches off is a negatively charged phosphate group, and off to the other side is a nitrogenous base. The nitrogenous bases can be adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, and uracil. Uracil being specific to RNA only, and thymine being specific to DNA only. And one of the important things to know about the structure of DNA in this case is that the phosphate group and the 5-carbon sugar are hydrophilic, and the nitrogenous base is hydrophobic. So what this means is when the double strand comes together for the double helix shape, the hydrophilic like parts of the nucleotide will face out towards the water because these are only found in watery substances. So that means that the nitrogenous bases will face towards each other in the middle.
Alright, so DNA and RNA, the distinguishment between them two is not just the difference between the nucleotides. There's also the difference between the pentose sugar within the nucleotides. As you can see from this DNA here, you have black licorice, which is representing the different sugar groups. And as you can see in the RNA here, you have red licorice, which is representing the other sugar groups. RNA is made up of ribose, and DNA is made up of deoxyribose. And the distinction between the two is that ribose has a hydroxyl group, whereas deoxyribose has just 2 hydrogens. And just one hydrogen where the hydroxyl group would be. And that's where deoxyribose gets its name from the fact that it's lacking in an oxygen. So an important function of DNA is to pass down the genetic information from parent to offspring, which basically means that DNA tells every single cell within your body and every single one of your children's cells what to do. And it's present within almost all living organisms. It's found within animals, within plants, and it's even been found in viruses, even though those technically aren't living. So DNA doesn't just pass down genetic material, however. It also contains the instructions to form RNA and to start the transcription and the translation process, which makes proteins and makes the amino acid change within proteins. So what winds up happening is DNA has a certain set of nucleotides, and the order of the nucleotides basically determines what protein will be made or what instructions will be given. So the DNA it transcribes its information. It transcribes the order of its nucleotides into RNA, and then RNA leaves the nucleus of the cell and goes into the cell, and then it translates this information into amino acids using certain parts of the cell. And so because of the polymers, DNA is basically capable of controlling all facets of cellular function, and it's capable of making us be who we are today.
So now that we understand the basic functions and the importance of DNA to us, Lily and I will be talking about the actual bonds that are being formed and the reactions that will be occurring. So it's important to note that nucleotides are the monomers in nucleic acids, or the DNA and the RNA, as we have seen before. So there are 3 main parts to these nucleotides, as Anthony has mentioned before, but we're going to be going into these and showing exactly where each of these is on the actual structure of the atom. So here we have our negatively charged phosphate group, our 5-carbon sugar, and our nitrogenous base. And the nitrogenous base makes each nucleotide itself, or ATCG. And in these, the 5-carbon sugar in DNA is called deoxyribose, while in RNA it's called ribose. So what will essentially happen between these is that the dehydration reaction will occur, and we'll get water as a byproduct. So to explain sort of what elements make up this, we have the caramel being the phosphate, the green cubes being the carbon, the red cubes being the oxygen, the red berries being the nitrogen, and the white berries being the hydrogen. So right now we're going to be showing the dehydration reaction between the two. And this is amine and this is thymine. So essentially what happened was the phosphate group and the sugar will be bonding together.
Alright, so here we can see the negatively charged phosphate group with the hydroxyl group is bonding to the hydroxyl group on the bottom of the sugar. So the hydroxyl group of 1 gets taken off and the hydrogen of 1 gets taken off, and a water molecule is formed, and the remaining bonds get formed through the oxygen to form this structure. Now, here, if we would like to compare this to our other model here, this structure is the backbone of the DNA. So we have the black licorice, which represents the sugar, and we have this little connecting bit here, which represents the phosphate group. So as these are connected here, that is how the bond is formed through the actual molecules.
So it's also important to note that the nitrogen space is coming out of the sugar part and not the phosphate part, as in the molecule it's connected to the sugar and not the nitrogenous space, and not the phosphate group.
So just to demonstrate a hydrolysis reaction, it would be the opposite, as one of the segments would take the hydroxyl group and the other would take the hydrogen, and that would separate it into its monomers. Now, as you see in this model, the connections between the two helixes of DNA is made through hydrogen bonds from the two strands. And the way that happens is, as we have adenine and thymine here, the nucleobase and the it's going to be like this. The two nucleobases come together in hydrogen bonds from the positively charged hydrogen of the adenine of the thymine to the negatively charged oxygens of the adenine.
And these are represented differently, as these hydrogen bonds are green and the rest of them are not colored in.
And as such, this is only found in DNA rather than RNA, as DNA has the 2 strands and RNA only has 1.
I'd like to add that the presence of the hydrogen bonds is what allows DNA to be predictable, which means that you'll always know that adenine binds with thymine and guanine binds with cytosine, because cytosine and guanine, they form 3 bonds between each other, and adenine and thymine, they form 2 bonds. And DNA also has a double helix shape. I just felt like we should probably clarify that. So within your cells, it looks like this. We had the 2D illustration in order to demonstrate the actual chemical components. And also the hydrolysis reaction, which is actually a pretty important reaction, is what allows your cells to divide. Because what winds up happening is when we eat food, such as chicken, such as apples, such as vegetables, you're actually consuming some of that organism's DNA. And when that happens, you break that DNA down using hydrolysis reactions, which allows you to have your own cells replicate and allow the DNA within your cells to replicate.